who have to sell Okiya. Yes, there is that structure. There is that formal team led by Gatom. But it is us. Even the questions that we're asking here, of course, we're asking them. I understand why you're asking Obeds and the rest. Truth has been our defense. They have nothing on Okiya Omtatah. He is not my father. I don't know him personally, but I can assure you, the Kenya that I know, if they had something on Okiya Omtatah, by now you wouldn't even be doing litigations. Angekuwa in one way or another, they've stopped him. Wangemwambia, oh, uko na hii corruption case hapo, wamekuletea koti. So why are you talking about corruption? They have zero, totally, absolutely nothing on him. And that is why all they can say is, oh, where will he get the money from? Oh, I don't know, he's not popular. Oh, he's not, that is all they have. And therefore, because we have truth on our side, we have to use truth for our campaign. So daily, in our WhatsApp, and our campaign has to go paka kwa grassroots. In fact, the next thing the team should do is to announce what wajitokeze from wards. Already we are in WhatsApp. I don't think there's anyone here who is not in any form of a WhatsApp group, whether near church, but we belong to those WhatsApp groups already. So in those WhatsApp groups, let's go down to our wards, to our villages, to our church, and form networks. It is through these networks that we are going to mobilize, and our power is going to come from the people. Let the politicians come together. Let them come together, the political elites, the corrupt ones, as we know. Let them come together. We don't care. Our focus is, do the people understand what is happening? And yes, people are suffering. People are suffering everywhere. Civil servants are suffering. It's only that they can't come out openly because they're working for government. Me being part of a civil servant, I know what I'm going through personally. And therefore, we have the truth on our side. Okiya, it's not even about selling. You know, you sell something that haina maana. Waswahili wanasema kizuri chajiuza, kibaya chajitembeza. So wacha wajitembeze, waseme huku na kule. But sisi, let us stick to the truth. Okiya Omtatah, the 6th, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Thank you.
It's going
Thank
to
you,
happen.
Gloria. Good place to leave it. So that because we need to allow as many of you to speak, so that your sentiments are also picked by the team. I'd like to have Marabus Talks to have his contribution as well.
Greetings, Obed, Mizani, Gatomi, and everybody else. I hope I'm coming through. So
very well.
Thank you. Very mature conversation for a mature presidential candidate. You know, the X-Space is really a marvelous awakening for us. And when you see the man, the pygmy, Cherargei, try to advise Okiya Omtatah, when you see people like Ahmed Nasir and all these KK apologists and ODM goons go after Okiya Omtatah, that's when you know that we have something here, because so many people have made clear their ambitions to become president, but none has garnered so much grotesque as this one for Okiya. That's how you know we have the right person here. When the status quo, when the elites feel shaken by this move, that's when you know we are on the right trajectory. And Gadomi, since you're here, I would like maybe sometimes when you find times, I know 18 months is a long time and we have time to strategize, but maybe we should not put aside the issues of coalitions with other like-minded Kenyans, you know, because the party issue, some people do not want to abscond their parties or fold their parties to join other parties. So I'm sure we have well-meaning, good-mannered Kenyans out there. I know Martha Karua is one of them, and I've heard her actually say that she has no objection on Okiya's candidature and might also be willing to be part of it. So I would like to know what is the way for coalitions as we move towards 2027. So for me, I think I'm going to speak personally for me, how I look at this thing. We only have one person in Kenya right now as a choice and an option, right? And I do not want to look at the pros and cons of this man, Okiya Omtatah. You know, the other time he had an accident and people were saying that he's driving a Nissan Advan, and people saying that this man does not care for money. You know, all these things are good things. But I think the most important thing for me is how he has approached his candidature by starting with this exploratory committee, something unique, something new, shows that he is intending to have a different form of leadership. And that for me, just the start, how you start something, just shows, you know, I'm a musician and how a beat starts. The first note of your beat can tell me if the music is going to be good or bad. So for me, how Omtata has just started it, especially with the ladies, Kadomi and Anifa, and all these people taking over, taking charge, himself taking the back seat to listen to what Kenyans have to say. How he has started for me, I think I give it a tick and I just give it a mark of quality. And it shows me that this person, I have listened to him over and over again. His maturity is unmatched. In the political field, I've never had nobody speak the way Omtata speaks, articulates issues the way he does. I've seen him in committees, Senate committees, ask questions, especially in the issue of Adani. And I feel that we as Kenyans would really be doing ourselves a disservice if we fail to give this man a chance to take us from where we are today to the destiny and the future that we pray for. So I urge everybody, I'm willing to join this team and really see what we can do. And I'm really, really excited that Mizani has also seen that we can also contribute somehow in our smallest ways to ensure that we find change in Kenya. Thank you very much for the time and God bless.
Thank you, Marabu Stokes. And again, Eli, I think with your permission, just to clarify that we having a conversation around the announcement of the candidature or the desire by Okiya Omtatah to be president. And by no means, this is not a paid advert. We are not doing this for anybody. This is Mizani usual spaces, having a conversation about serious conversations that are going on in the country. It's good to have this because it's important to also get to hear people and the kinds and what they think about his candidature. So that said, I would like to allow a gentleman, Bivon. Bivon, your hand has been up for so long. You must be so tired. I give you a chance to speak. Then, with your permission, Eli, I'd have Dikembe speak, and then Japonji, and then Tomboy. So, Bivon?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Bets, can you guys hear me?
Can hear you 100%.
Thank you. I want to appreciate Mizane for this space and I want to appreciate for the chance to make my submissions this evening. I'm here as a young, not even young, but a very young. Uh, Let me call myself a student to Okiya Omtatah's presidential ambitions, and I want to say this evening that the young generation who are turning 18 this year, the coming year, and 2025, 2026, that I am here to represent them. I just turned 18 the other month, and I'm here to say that Okiya is our president. Now, I want to give in my submissions on how or on how we will be able to come up with this government of triple O as our president. You see, we are having this space, and I'm very happy because for all the speakers who have already spoken, no one has submitted about what is happening in Kenya. That is what we should do. Some of the leaders come out, they start criticizing, this has not done this has not done this. Instead of that leader coming out and doing it so that we can see that he has done, he doesn't have to tell us that he has not done this. And that is what Okiya is doing. Okiya is not saying that this leader has not done this, he has not done this. Okiya is telling us what he will do. And we know Okiya. Okiya has been with us. Okiya has always fought for we as Kenyans, for the unconstitutional ambitions from private people, from the government, and we are very happy in Okiya. Now, I want to request to Kadoni and Kevin that as you will be going back to Okiya, telling him on what is going on outside here, tell Okiya that we are selling him at zero charges. Here at Mashinani, we are walking. Where we will be, if we are boarding a motorcycle, we must initiate a conversation and tell this motorcyclist that, do you know Okiya Omtatah? Okiya Omtatah is this one. He is this one. And as you said earlier, which I want to support, the ambitions that you have many MCAs around. The MCAs which will come to these Mashinani areas and talk to the residents. Tell them, Okiya is now our president. We must make a change. And unless there is a will to change, there will be no change. So we want to make a will to change so that there will be a change in Kenya. I want to be brief because there are many speakers. I only want to tell you guys that we will not relent. Let us not be tired. Triple O for president. Thank you.
Looks like Obed is struggling with the mic, but thank you so much for those submissions. You saying triple O for the next presidency, and that is you campaigning at zero charge. Now, I want to bring in the next speaker. I know we have such a long queue waiting, so I'll try to request our speakers to keep it short and sweet. Dikembe, the mic is yours.
Good evening, everyone who's found time to be on this space. I hope, Eli, you're able to get me.
We can hear you. Kindly proceed.
Okay, thank you. Of course, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to share my thoughts with our fellow countrymen and women. And I just want to start from. I feel a bit confused about what you're talking about in the sense that I know Okiya. I have tremendous respect for him, for what he's done for our country, for the fights that is been involved in, and what those fights have achieved for our country in promoting and entrenching the rule of law, good governance, and all that. So, and then he's also somebody I know in person, and so I was, like many Kenyans who followed politics now for some time, I was very impressed by him coming out to create this committee, or to create his exploratory committee. And that is where I want to start. Like the issue here is, and maybe the chairperson or somebody in that committee needs to come out and really clarify on this particular issue. An exploratory committee is just that. It's an exploratory committee. An exploratory committee is not a campaign committee. So one of the things that I've struggled with throughout this space is it seems to me that we are no longer talking about Okiya's bid in terms of what he has put to the public. He did a very bold thing to come up with the names, to have a small team, to try to develop his bid into something realistic. But let us not lose sight of the fact that what Omtatah formed, at least how I got it, is he created an exploratory committee, and such a committee in a democracy has a very limited, has a very specific mandate to look at the viability of this particular candidate gunning for, like for Okoiti, gunning for the presidency. So as this committee morphed into a campaign committee, is it still an exploratory committee? Because that it is important that we start from that point so that we do not appear as dishonest to the public. The public believes that Omtatah is a decent guy, is a truthful guy, is an honest guy. And when he comes out with an exploratory committee, he knows what he came out with. And those of us who follow politics and want to improve, for instance, how we relate with political leaders, and want to even force other political leaders to go this route of first coming up with such committees to explore your own bid. Are you able to run? Are you able to mobilize the resources needed to run? On which party? I hear people have already concluded that, there is a party, but I think those are the things that an exploratory committee is supposed to achieve. The other thing that I wanted to say is there has been a lot of comments about members of that committee, and personally I also want to congratulate Omtatah for coming out with some of the names that emerged from the movement. People, I believe, or fellow citizens, I believe, need to find a space to try to develop that scale that we saw in the ability to organize protests, in the ability to fundraise and donate to help the people who had been hurt and all that. So I really appreciated the fact that young people who've come out are able to be picked by political parties or political actors, and they're able to actually sit in very critical bodies where critical decisions about candidates, about parties are going to be made. So on that, I'm very happy about what Omtatah has done. There seems to also be, I had one of the speakers say that the biggest problem we are going to have is going to be Raila Odinga, or the biggest problem we have is with this government, and that might be true. But if you learned anything from the post-Gen Z movement, is that sometimes when you create enemies or competitors for a cause, it becomes very difficult to again involve those people, because what if we need, for instance, the backing of Raila Odinga is also a voter. Remember, what if you're going to need the backing of all these other political leaders? So we need to be careful in our country on how we cancel people and how we proceed after that. There seems to be this impression that is being created that, maybe Mr. Odinga is going to fail at AUC and is going to come back. And what if he doesn't fail? And what if he becomes the most important pillar to Omtatah's race? So an exploratory committee is supposed to explore all those things. I mean, the word here is explore. And
so I'll ask you to land at that, Dikembe. I think you made your point on the exploratory committee.
The last thing I want to talk about, it's fine. The last
Make it 30 seconds kindly.
Yeah, 30 seconds. We've had, Okoiti is not coming from, from thin air. We've had other candidates who've come with almost the same credentials that Omtatah is coming up with. These, fringe but fairly what one would consider these are clean guys. We had Peter Kenneth, we had Olekiyapi, we had Ekuro Kot, we had Dida, we had Ruben Kigame. So it is very important that when we discuss about these candidates that you're talking about, especially candidates who are coming with the disadvantage of, the political machine, they have not been able to build the kind of political machines that they're going to need. It's very important that we are able to place their struggles, place their emergence in their proper context so that we do not lose sight of the fact that this is not the first time a candidate of Omtatah's stature is coming out to contest. And the lessons that we learned from, for instance, the failure of Peter Kenneth in 2013 and Kiyapi, what does those failures, how will they inform the candidature of Mr. Omtatah? So those are some of the things I wanted to talk about. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be able to share this with other countrymen. So thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Dikembe. Quite some insights there. How do we learn from the past? Do we close ranks and decide to work together for the greater good? What if the person today you vilify, it's actually who you need as your pillar? These are some of the questions Dikembe is asking to the exploratory committee. Kadomi, I know once time comes, you'll be able to respond to quite a number of them. I know time is also not so good. We are 10 minutes into 11 p.m., and that means we must be starting to find a way to close the space. But that does not mean we lock out all the speakers that are already on the channel. So we go to you, Abdi. My request is you keep it short and sweet. Thank you.
Okay, you can hear me?
We can hear you. Proceed.
Okay, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I'll just be very brief. I think many people have already said that Okiya Omtatah announcement of an exploration committee to evaluate a potential presidential bid is actually a bold and an inspiring step in the political landscape. I think there's no doubt that he's known for his integrity, unwavering commitment to justice and rule of law, steadfast defense of the Constitution. I think Omtatah leadership symbolizes hope and values driven by good governance and accountability and service to the people. I think this moves signals a refreshing departure from the norm in the Kenyan politics. But transitioning from aspiration to a reality demands a meticulous and strategic approach. I think the Exploration Committee is an excellent starting point, I think, but allowing his team to assess the feasibility of his candidacy and engage Kenyans develop a comprehensive roadmap. However, challenges that Omtatah must navigate is not a campaign committee for now. I hope this is not a campaign committee for now, to be clear to Kenyans and give out the mandate. I think there is a very big challenge. Let's be honest and brutally honest with ourselves. Kenyan politics remain deeply rooted in ethnic blocs, regional alliances, and financial muscle. I think while Omtatah enjoys substantial support online and among the youth and the other people in the urban areas, elections are won and lost in the grassroots. I think elections are lost, and that is in the mashinani. Mobilizing, I think, mashinani support by connecting with the rural voters and building coalition in that transcends ethnic and regional line is critical, I think. A strategy that integrates all regions, communities will be key to his campaign success. The other bit is the financial demand of a presidential campaign. It's another significant hurdle. I think elections among are the most Kenyan election is the most expensive election globally. And maintaining Omtatah's reputation for integrity means shunning traditional funding sources tied to corruption and patronage. Having said that, his team must embrace an innovative fundraising approaches, including the ones many people say, crowdfunding, diaspora engagement, and a small donation from ordinary Kenyans. This approach will only not raise funds, but also enforce image as a candidate of the people through, though it is a difficult path to navigate. Finally, I think the messaging and strategy will play a pivotal role, I think. Omtatah must articulate a compelling vision that addresses the struggle of every Kenyan. I think focusing on employment, education, healthcare, corruption, these are all there. I think his manifesto must also resonate with the electorate, particularly in the rural area, while leveraging his strengths of integrity and accountability. I think addressing these concerns about his political base and positioning himself as a viable alternative to the status quo will be crucial. I think for Omtatah to succeed, his exploration committee must focus on building a robust campaign infrastructure, including grassroots mobilization, effective communication, and I think partnership with like-minded leaders by demonstrating actionable solutions, which I say actionable solutions to Kenyans' problems. I believe he can inspire confidence and galvanize that support. And there's one very important bit the speaker before me say, particularly learning from history, particularly on experiences of the underdog candidates. I sat with Mohamed Duba, he's my classmate, and many others will help this team avoid similar pitfalls and craft a winning strategy. So this is my bit. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Abdi. We do appreciate your submission. And to the speakers, if I drop you, there's nothing personal. I just want to free more mics for the requests that are in line. So don't feel targeted, okay? Thank you for your understanding. Because I see we need to also listen some feedback from Kadhomi and the team, I'll give them an equal opportunity to either respond or give a quick reference to some of the issues raised. As I do that, I also want to quickly go to some statements that most of you have shared with us in this forum tonight. Kenyans will wish to know what Okiya is bringing in his presidency. The team needs to develop a preliminary manifesto or document detailing the changes his presidency will bring. It will help sell him. That is Lex 199. And we do have, I saw Jeffy here who says, please, as his team, as an outspoken critic of government policies in the past, let me get that Jeffy remark later on, if you don't mind. It's hiding from my TL. But I have Wanda who says, Okiya has done quite a lot. All we need to do is approach his candidature politically, not based on his good name. I keep on differing with you guys. Omtatah, he is a human rights fighter, and Kenya doesn't need such a person. Kenya needs a CEO. We don't need a politician. We need someone like the CEO of East Africa Cables. Equity, says this gentleman. Such CEOs whom have seen doing things are the one we need. That is Sankale. And that invites me to invite you, Kadhomi, and your team to quickly respond and give feedback based on the issues shared. I'll start with you, Madam Chair Lady.
Thank you, Obed. Very good insights.
I know you to Obed's name, but clearly this is Eli.
Eli, my point, my Obed Mizani. Okay, awesome. Eli, now I'm now differentiating, but I thought it was Obed who was speaking. Sorry for that.
Obed, maybe let's make this easier for Madam Chair. Can you kindly speak up, Obed, so that she can differentiate? Just say a good hi to her.
Kadhomi, Eli is, getting worried that if you win the elections, he might not be considered for the job. That's why he's shouting early.
I'll get into his inbox. Don't worry. I'll get to know him better. Oh, thank you. a lot of feedback, very lovely observations. We consider everything. Actually, we are not working from the point of strength. We are dealing with the problems more than we are dealing with our strong points. That's where we are coming from. So we start dealing with the weaknesses, the negatives, the hurdles, before we start thinking, oh, he's a strong candidate. No. We don't want to concentrate on what is in the box already. We want to concentrate on what is not in the box. Yes, in Kenyan politics, you never say never. You never say never. You don't know who you're going to work with tomorrow. That doesn't mean we don't call out evil for what it is. We don't call out unconstitutionality for what it is. But you don't know tomorrow where we will be. We do not know how things keep changing. And we've been in the political field and spheres, and we know there's what we would wish this country to be in our heads, yes. And there's what is the reality on the ground right now. So these two aspects are very clear. So we are not working or walking on the point of being imaginative. No, we are dealing with realities. And we know what is ahead of us. And that's why we are having these kind of conversations, because like now I have a whole 2 full scaps of things that I've heard from this space, and they're definitely going to be on the table in the office in the course of this week. I want to assure you that our candidate is listening and is going to be listening on everything. And we will try our level best to let him know this is what Kenyans are saying. This is what people are saying. This is what we think can be done here or there. And we want these conversations to go on. We do not want it to be, like this excitement, emotional, because of course, Okiya inspires a lot of hope to the Kenyan population, but we don't want to end it there. A journey of 1,000 steps, it just starts, with 1,000 steps, starts with one step. So this is our first, and we have a long way to go. We are going to be hit, we are going to be on the ground, we are going to wake up, and we are going to keep pushing. We know what we're dealing with, we know how tribalism is in our country, we know how our voter demographies are, siasa ya 200, 100, tunajua. We know how the the politicians are block regions and they control those regions. We are very privy to all those things, but we want to continue learning and seeing how we can make our ticket better and better and better. So I do not want to hog the mic. Kevin, where you could say something, because I'm sure.
Okay. So thank you, Madam Chair. I think for me, it's just to assure people, we are a boat where we'll go collecting people with the same vision. So we're open to coalitions. And when the time is right and the report shows that this is what we require to build a strong force, we'll bring like-minded people for us to move forward together. As you say, we can't do it alone. And I think we'll also pick a lot of advice from you people. As most of you have said, we have to know which candidate do you think will work, which one do you think will work, which coalition do you come to, and that will all come to play. Number two, as also say, is that only a fool doesn't learn from the past. So as Dikembe and the rest have said, we have to look at what made Peter Kenneth fail, what made Ole Kiapi fail. So those are things as a committee we look at. Why did they not translate the popularity from X to the ground? So as a committee, when you're writing our report, we look at all those things so that we can also learn from the mistakes of those ones who have been previously there. There's no need of trying new tricks. We'll also try and copy and understand what made this candidate popular and this one was not popular. Then the other thing I'll also say, Dikembe, one thing I'll also put across is that I talked about the committee and the campaign. As we're doing our report, we also believe that we should not stop campaigning for the candidate. Because what happens after our report says that he should run for presidency and we've not been campaigning? So for us, we believe that we're not campaigning, we're just telling him as a candidate. So as we're doing our report, we'll just speak about him in a positive light, which we believe will help us in the end, that in case we write a report and say, let's go ahead with the process, we'd already have continued. Because we believe if we stop now, not talking about our candidate, we might lose the traction that we've gotten. And I think the best thing is most of the people who are selling him is not even us. It's the Kenyan public who are selling him. If you go to Twitter today and see what people are writing about our candidate, it gives us hope. And we are also very pleased. And if you see like what Mizani is doing, these things are very important, where we are able to air our visions. And you've had most of the people who have spoken very positive about the candidate. And in short, you might think it's a campaigning for him, but it's actually what people feel genuinely without saying that I've been paid to talk positively about it. I think, Madam Chair, I can send it back to you.
Thank you, Kevin. I want to say a word of thank you to everyone who has given us feedback. I've written everything down, and for sure, we are going to be forwarding it. Look out for information we should be sharing in 2 weeks. We are laying structures to bring in everyone, every volunteer. Every Kenyan should be able to plug in where they are strong at in this campaign. So we are going to be sharing that information in a couple of weeks because we're just laying the structures down. Do not be worried. This is achievable, guys. This can be done. I want to promise you, this can be done. It's a Kenyan project. It's your project. Take it and run with it. Our ears are always on the ground. We are listening. We are always listening. Someone said here that, okay, I do not like allowing information to go without giving response or feedback. Someone said that Okiya is an activist. Okiya has had he has many stages of his life. He was an activist, and his activism graduated to a politician, is graduated to a governance expert. He's been everything. So please do not tag our candidate as an activist. That was a face of his life, and he's a leader, he's a community leader, he's a senator from Busia. So do not say we need what? You said that we need a manager. That's what you said. He's a very good manager. He's done a very good job as a manager. He runs a political party. He runs an NGO that runs these cases. Okiya has a big office, already. And there's someone who mentioned that we need to have an office. I want to say we actually have an office. We have a physical office. We don't operate from Bunge or his senatorial office. We have Okiya's office. We have a secretariat that is running all these things. So we are organized. We know what we are doing, and we know where we want to be. And yes, maybe you call him an activist because that's what you know. There's a lot that you do not know, but we will make sure this information comes to the people and people understand who Okiya is. Thank you so much, Obed. Okay.
Sorry, just one point I also want to add on to your thing. I also want the Kenyan public to also remember one thing. When the politicians want to destroy you, they brand you something. I remember when they wanted to destroy Raila back in the days, Honorable Raila is what they made him. They said he's violent, his supporters are violent. Now they are trying to box in Okiya as an activist. That's the brand they want to build him in. Forgetting that the reason why he was an activist then, he did not have an opportunity to air. He was not in parliament. He was not a senator. Now that he's a senator, you notice that he's no longer going to chain himself. He's talking, articulating his issues. That was, as the chair said, that was the period, that was the only way he could communicate at that point. Now, what people are trying to do is to brand him as an activist, brand him as a person without 7 billion. Now, for us, we should change that narrative and say he's our presidential candidate, not the activist, because that's what they do. They destroy you by saying Raila is violent. Now they're saying Okiya is an activist, to make sure that you put a full stop into his presidential bid. So let's change that narrative and don't fall into that thing, and let's push it and say that he's our presidential candidate. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelvin. Eli, I want to ask you.
Yes, I'm here. I'm listening. Go ahead.
This yote and hope yote wasitupatie hopes alafu Okiya ako na degree. On a light note,
Hiyo
I had that
inahitajika
question
huko
as
kuwa
some-
president ama ni
si wanasema hivyo.
So let
Sijui.
me give you the
people
Nazil
asema
Umar.
na duni hakuna
Nazil
degree.
Umar case. Nazil Umar went to court and the court said that you don't need a degree to do that. So you can just Google the Nazil Umar case where the court says that to the only qualification you need to run for presidency is to have the qualifications of an MP. And the qualifications of an MP, remember, they removed the degree issue. So that's where we are with that issue. So no one has kutisha about degree issue, but that one will be clarified. But that's where we know there's no problem about that. That's what we know as a committee. We have ticked all the boxes that require him to run for presidency. We have ticked all the boxes.
So on the same breath, because I know you guys want to skip out, and I will not want you to leave without answering a few questions. There's an issue that has been raised about coalition, and Madam Chair, you've said you can never say never in politics. Now, some of the names that have been raised here includes the former Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, who, according to the impeachment motion, he was being faced with a lot of accusations, including and not limited to subverting of the rule of law. Remember that your candidate stands for the rule of law. Number two, there's the issue of corruption and implication of the same. Your candidate is anti-corruption. The other person that has been suggested that can work with this, I think with softly so, is the current candidate for the AUC chairmanship. Would you be telling Kenyans a few months from now, we didn't have enough evidence, now that we have no evidence, you can work with these people? What are the scenarios? And I'm not trying to overshoot my projections in this, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that. That's a very important question that you've raised. As we are speaking, Okiya's political party works under an umbrella of so many other political parties. So we don't work alone. Even as we are speaking, we work with other political parties. We work with civil rights groups. We work with farmers group. Like I would speak of my own group, Kilimo cha Haki. It's under the conglomerate of the civil society groups that are where Okiya's party is. On where we will be tomorrow will definitely be guided by principle. I want to be so clear about what type of a candidate we're talking about. He's so guided on principle. He's not hungry for power. He's not, he's guided by principles in terms of the people he works with and the people he works with. You've seen so many people coming out and say, you know what, please bring in Mother Karua as a candidate, bring in Moraras, you bring in who? As we are speaking, we don't walk alone. A foolish man is the man that walks alone. I'm not going to say that we are currently walking with A, B, C, D, but I can confidently tell you we are not walking alone. We are not working alone. We walk with people that we share our principles, we share ideologies, people of the same feather, we walk around with those kind of people. So are we going to work with other people in the future? We are working with them even now, and we are going to be working with these people in the future. But what guides such conversation is, do we stand for the same things? Okiya's ticket is very different from what people have seen out there. Okiya's ticket is completely different from what Kenyans have seen since independence. That's why we keep saying it is a Kenyan ticket. So let me not expound more on that, but trust me, we are always on the table, we are having conversations, and we'll continue having conversations.
So as we have those conversations, you just decided to really make your life even much difficult, because you've told us repeatedly that Okiya Omtatah is our candidate, and therefore he is our guy. So I'm told here by the people who have employed you in that committee, you have to listen to their opinions before you leave. Japonji.
Just sorry, before it goes to Japonji, just a quick, I've seen on the chat people asking a bit what is wrong with activists. Sorry, there was just a miscommunication. There's nothing wrong with activists. What people are trying to brand Okiya as an activist is that hata akipata presidency, yeye mwenyewe atapeleka serikali yake kwa koti. That's what they mean. Sorry, that's what there is no problem with activism. What people are trying to brand Okiya as that even when he gets the presidency, he'll still continue chaining himself, and yet he's the president of that current government. So there's no problem with activism. Is what the people are trying to say with him, that once he's an activist, he will still continue being an activist, even as a president of the nation. So sorry, that was just a clarification that I needed to pass through.
Kelvin, you have a good sense of humor.
This has been the most hilarious submission by Calvin, because I'm reminded about the little elephant who was chained at a younger age, and growing up and being free, even with a thread or an assumption of having one, they would think they are still a jailbird, so they would leave their cage because wanafikiria wataumia. So Kevin, we understand, because this candidate has actually done the most with chains. At one time, I almost thought Nima bling bling and it's a show off, until I realized he was fighting for something. But thank you for clearing that out. Japonji has questions, and I believe also some submissions. I implore you guys, I know it's rather gentleman and lady, to really stay a little bit longer. We are trying our best to push the queue in order to clear on time. Japonji, the mic is yours, please.
Thank you, Eli. Thank you, Bed. And thank you, Mizani, and everyone who has spoken before me. And I really appreciate this chance. So I'll just bite the nail on the head. And the first thing that I like to start my conversation by saying that we all agree that Omtatah is coming in on a platform of anti-corruption and sticking to the constitution. Moving forward, what I can say is that most of us here have been brought already with the same purpose of like trying to bring in leadership. There are a lot of remnants here from the Gen Z movement, and we all agreed at some point that the initial mandate of Gen Z movement was to get rid of the finance bill. And then after that, the purpose of that movement ended there. It's like a relay. So right now we are looking for leadership, and that's the reason why we are here. And before I continue, I would like to quote one genius called Albert Einstein, who once said that you cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created the same problem. So what I'm trying to say is that Okiya has not been part of the problem of the previous institution, so we should try him out to be part of the solution moving forward. And I have a few strategies which I've been noting down as people were speaking. So one of the strategies that we need to help achieve his goal, actually, as he said it, that it is us, because it's us who should be owning up and ask ourselves what it is that we, the people, can do for the country, as patriots, not what Okiya Omtatah can do for us. So we don't make him become like a tyrant. So one of the strategies that I've come up with is that we need to identify upcoming young leaders who are patriotic and of the same thinking. And under that same note, I would like some clarification about there's a controversy. This is an elephant in the room, which most people, I think, have not spoken about. There's a lot of controversy on one of the committee member, who is called Hanifa. There are lots of controversy. Would you like to talk about it later? I'm sure you'll note that down. On the same note of identifying upcoming young leaders who are patriotic.
Maybe, Japonji, if I can just quickly interrupt.
Yeah, please go on.
When you talk about controversy, it's a bit vague.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific issue you love the chair lady and the spokesperson to address in that appointment?
Thank you. I know my statement is ambiguous, and I will never want to be specific on that. But since you brought it back, I've had a lot of other people talking about accountability, the way we had some funding for the people who were injured during the other protests that were never accounted for. However, personally, my opinion is that everything was accounted for, but there is still some controversy and there is that fear factor. So I hope that you can at some point try to address that if you can, because it's coming out there. And yeah, so if you don't mind, can I continue?
Is it your opinion? Is it your opinion that this will affect the candidature or possible candidature of Honorable Okiya Omtatah, and that's why you're asking it?
I'm asking it based on the fact that I've seen a lot of comments on the TL of some of the people who are part of this movement talking about the controversy, about the accountability when he was handling some funds for the Gen Z who were wounded during the protests. That's why I'm bringing it up. So if it can be addressed, I'm just saying, if it can be addressed, just to get rid of the elephant in the room, will that be possible? Or am I asking for too much?
You may proceed to the next.
Okay.
We'll give them an opportunity.
Thank you so much. The other thing I wanted to talk about as a strategy is that can we all agree to be doing community notes on X when the government propaganda comes and comments on Okiya Omtatah's candidature, because that is bound to happen and it has happened already. As most of you are aware, I've tried doing that community notes and also trying to do fact checking on some of their posts, and unfortunately one of my accounts got suspended for spamming. So anyway, we can try to do that, as many as we are here, or of those who are supporting Okiya's candidature, as we move on. The third strategy that I've been thinking of is about the unity of purpose. Let's keep our mind open, like let's be open-minded, and let's try to bring in people who can help us achieve the goals, not necessarily to be part of the movement, but we can actually bring experts in the fields to help us move forward. I've heard that this point was just, I did this point before I had the previous speaker talk about they are working with other teams as well. So I can just rub it off for now. The other thing is about some of us are in the diaspora. So how do we move forward with the fund kitty for the exploratory team? You know, how is it going to work, you know, for us in the diaspora? Since someone also spoke having the 48th county of Kenya, which is the diaspora. Would someone try to highlight or give more detail on that? The last strategy is about integration of the data from the IEBC into the Okiya's website. Someone had spoken before about having a website where we can get all the information, all the activities, accountability, and everything in an open way, you know, because one of the fundamentals of this campaign is accountability. So that will be my last submission, and I'll be listening to others as we move on. Thank you so much, and bless.
Before I can allow you to drop,
yes,
Japonji, I didn't clearly get the last part of your submission in terms of integration of data. What data are you talking about?
Okay, I was just being brief. Like when I talk about integration of the data, this is from the IEBC registered voters per county. Is there a way that we can synchronize or integrate the data into Okiya Omtatah's website? I'm sure a lot of IT guys understand we can do that, such that if I'm looking for some data for some county about registered voters, people who registered and all that, I can be able to just click a button there and get everything, because we have a lot of trust issues with the current government, and I would rather trust Okiya Omtatah's more than the government that we're dealing with. I hope I've answered that.
Yes, you have, but I find that a bit sinister because of everything that goes with data protection. You're talking about individual information, or are you just talking about the register and to say we have 100 people in Ikolomandi, for example?
For example, if I may ask you now, how many registered voters are there in Ikolomani County? You know, there has to be a way that I don't have to go around searching for that. I mean, can we have a website that has everything included, such that we can use the data to reach people and know exactly the people who are registered to vote and how many more people are supposed to be to be registered, so that we can also do this thing about civic education for people to get ID and get more voters to register. That's the point of it. It makes sense now.
Yeah, thank you. But to the best of my knowledge, and I will allow also the other speakers to contribute. I believe when it comes to the register of voters, what is available is the number of registered voters and active ones for that matter. In terms of if there's a re-registration that has happened, it is updated. So you can know, for example, in the Kolomani constituency, we have 5,000, 10,000 registered voters. But the individual information, I'm not so sure that is supposed to be displayed until, I don't think so. It won't be something I'm thinking will happen in the near future. But I will allow the minds that are here to actually contribute. Let's now proceed to the next one. And thank you so much, Japonji, for joining. A lot of questions you've raised, including the involvement of the diaspora. We have... I'm trying to really push this queue, Obeds. You'll forgive me. Yes, Dennis, you've been waiting for long. What's your question?
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. First of all, let me start by thanking the organizers of the host of today's meeting, Mizani, Obeds, and Eli. Thank you very much for having us. Good to see Kathomi here and the rest of the members in the new Okiya Omtatah's team. Congratulations for being appointed in that team. We trust and believe in your capabilities, and we are looking forward to see how you guys perform, of course, with our support at the grassroots levels. I like to say that we are really encouraged and happy with the news of Okiya's entrance into the presidential race. It is something that we were all looking out for, because there was speculation, of course, and you can see what is happening around the country as well. There's going to be the political environment is going to be very heated very, very soon, and the political elite have realized that the ground has shifted, and so they are going to regroup, and they will come down to Mwananchi with different ways and tools to divide and rule us. But we believe that since the events of June 25th, this is indeed a great news for the people of Kenya, that now they have not just a presidential candidate who has all the qualities. Earlier, I had written and said that Okiya Omtatah is an open book. You need not to think hard about Okiya Omtatah. If you mention that name to anyone in any corner of this country, they will resonate with it on matters accountability, constitutionalism, and respect for the law. So, and I think this is exactly what Kenyans are looking for. And of course, if you add the economic revolution, something that we are all yearning and hoping that the next...
I'm afraid, Dennis, I'm losing you, unless it's my end. Obeds, could you confirm you can hear Dennis?
Yeah, I think we've lost him.
Well, I think he made his point too, so we'll go to the next speaker. Bonnie?
Hi.
Great to have you once again.
Absolutely. Can you hear me?
Yes, Bonnie, we can hear you. Kindly proceed.
So I want to say that the people of this country...
What's happening?
Dennis, I think you have a problem with your connection, so we might just want to ask you to
All right,
drop
let me try to
rejoin.
come back and see.
Yeah, we'll try to give you an opportunity. Bonnie, kindly proceed. And for the sake of Gavomi and the team, we really need to try and end up the call, because we had some limited time, and I think we are way over the projected hours. So Bonnie, kindly proceed.
So I started my submission earlier when I joined by telling you why I believe that Okiya Omtatah is rebuilding, right? I talked about the fact that he has spent the majority of his life to date serving Kenyans without seeking the limelight. I told you he's about fighting for the average citizen. He's never been accused by anybody of stealing or of embezzling. And if you followed me you are aware of all the work that I do around corruption and confidence in government. The next election, in my view, is going to determine the character of our nation. Who do we want to be as a country? And what I mean by that is that the reason why we are on this call is because we are unhappy by what we are seeing. When you watch TV and you see how our politicians are behaving with our money, our resources, you know, all you have to do is log into some of these politicians' accounts and see what they're doing with your money, buying Bentleys, Range Rovers, attending fancy schools, when your children are having a hard time getting a teacher because we don't want to fund schools. You know, our government does not want to fund, lecturers, right? People that are supposed to help the country and young people get skills. We don't want to fund hospitals. We don't want to fund infrastructure. We can't do anything unless it's benefiting politicians. So the next election is not about who's going to be. It's not just about who's going to be the president or who's going to be in government. It's about the character of our nation, the character of this nation. We need to be a country that embraces hard work, honesty, good effort, right? It's not about a country that's dominated by 2% that are criminals and corrupt people. And so there's nobody in this entire country, in my view, that has the temperament, the humility, and the humanity to be able to change this culture, because it's a cultural thing. You need to change the culture. And so the senator is who we need. There's a lot of discussion to be had about his policies, for example, on economics and things like that. But in terms of the bedrock of just the character of the person that you need is you can't come up with anyone better, in my view. So we need to support him. But I've told you before, the issues that we have in this country are not insurmountable, right? They are issues that can be fixed. But you cannot have people that are stealing from you making decisions. We can't have people that are there just to benefit themselves. And when you look at the current government, it's everything that they do is about them. The Adani deal is not about you, it's about them. When you see them making decisions around healthcare, for example, it's not about you, it's about what they can get from it. So we need someone who's going to fight for the average citizen. And I think that Okiya Omtatah does not have to tell you anything. All you have to do is look at his life and what he's been about, right? It's about fighting for you. And so I think we need to support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bonnie, and always a pleasure. And for you guys who don't know what Bonnie is doing, go to his page. Bonnie, I heard you are trying to campaign to have the current president voted in as the most corrupt African you know about. What is the status?
He is actually in leading right now, so I'm very excited. We've lost a lot of things this year, guys, right? We almost lost our airport, right? We've lost our rights. People are getting arrested in the middle of the city for nothing other than criticize your government. So we've lost a lot of things, but we can win something this year by making sure that our president wins the most corrupt person of the year award, right? Let's bring it home. I need your support. Go to my timeline and you'll be able to see that link. Make sure that you vote and spread the word. Let's make sure that he wins something. Can we agree on that, Kenyans? We need a win, right? Let's do that. Thank you.
I hope this is not the same story we'll be having if and when Triple O becomes the 6th president of the Republic of Kenya. I want to go to the next speaker and we'll welcome now, let's see who has been waiting for too long. Yes, Anthony, do you want to make your comment and then we'll have Mr. Kilimanjaro na hivyo ndo tunaanza kufunga space. We apologize for all the delays.
Asante sana Obed, asante sana Eli, asante sana Mizani na wote ambao wanashiriki katika hii space ya leo popote mlipo. Yangu ni mawili ama matatu tu. Kitu ya kwanza ni tusisahau vile huyu ambaye ameongea mbele yangu alivyosema ya kwamba Kenya tuko mahali kuna dhiki, kuna shida, kuna majonzi. We are in a rut. So whatever we are looking at today is not something that is coming out of a normal situation. The second thing which we must quickly identify is the morass and the mess and the disaster, the corruption, the thievery is tied down to the political class. It is the political class, our parliament and our county governments. So Okiya Omtatah is a game changer. Let me say from the outset that I have not participated in the last two elections, but this time I'm going to register myself as a voter. If Okiya will get 10 votes, mine will be number 11. I will vote for Okiya, and I want to keep the integrity of this campaign strictly clean. I heard something which disappointed me a bit earlier. When we start talking about political formations which are the source of the misery, the daylight robbing and stripping of the national resources, any political party that is linked to the Adani scandal, Adani mess, let us not try to lean on it at all. Number 3, Kenya, as from 25th of June up to now, is a changed country because of the sacrifice of our youth who put up their lives on the stake for a decent country. And this must be the torch that the Okiya campaign must carry. We must target and mobilize the 35 years and below age group, the bulge of our population, and see that we get them to register as voters. And this should be the ramp and the platform of this campaign. We must be clear about that from the outset. The second task for us is to convince our parents, the churchgoers, that this time round, Kenya is turning round. We are saying to bye-bye to 1963 up to June 25th, and we are opening a new chapter. So we must be very choosy. There is, as much as I do acknowledge the necessity of coalitioning, but coalitioning is where we start going wrong. Let us coalition on principle that those whose objective is to send Kenya Kwanza and its partners home, we will coalition with you, but no shareholding agreement coalitioning, where we end up with the partners, somebody being the Speaker of the National Assembly, the other one being the Speaker of the Senate, the other one being the Chief Cabinet Secretary. No. The President, Okiya Omtatah, when he ascends to office, must have a free hand in selecting his cabinet. So come coalition on one objective only, that we are draining the swamp. That is the ticket to the coalition that is being formed. As difficult as it may be, as much as it might have some complications, but I would really want this message to go home to the project team, that we want a clean slate, we want to get in the youth, and we want the well-wishers. And those that come in will come on our own terms. Nobody to dictate the terms of engagement. So with those considerations, I've got every optimism that things should work well for this campaign. And one thing also which I want to throw in before I drop my mic is, let us from the get-go be very, very sure and make it very obvious that as far as appointive positions are concerned, we must have 50% of women and 50% men in all appointive positions. And of all the appointive positions, at least 50% should be youth, minimum. That should be the carrot in our hands, so that we change the face of our system as it exists. But the political class, the parliamentary class that we have here, we really must see to it that we send it home and we start on a new slate. Those that will be able to come back, they should be able to come back to know that we are opening a new chapter for our country. That is the message that I have, and those are the few points that I wish to add on to the discussion. And I thank you all for your engagement, which I've followed it very keen, and I drop my mic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony. Eli, I request for permission. I'd like to ask you, do you know someone called Charles Kabaiku?
Yes, I do. Charles Kabaiku.
Yes, you remember he came into the picture when we had a conference.
I think we had Anthony's mic switched off.
Yeah, you remember Charles Kabaiku came into the picture when we had our mini conference in March this year, where he talked about National Sovereign Wealth Fund. And I'm glad that we have a plan for another conference, this time in the month of March 2025. And the conference the approach is a bit different. It's not your kind of ordinary speeches, conference. We have something called Open Space Technology, where contributors and everybody, we are targeting probably 750 people or more. And we're looking at having as many people who want to see a country that is changed. And our theme is purpose-driven leadership, something that we're talking about here. And for you to show your interest in being part of that conversation, go to mizani254.org and register your interest. Right down at the bottom of the page, there's a place where you can contact us and register your interest for the conference. Ila, if I've forgotten anything, you can add to that and allow other speakers to speak so that we can wrap up this space.
You're quite on spot, Obeds. So it is, of course, in the month of March. The date is between the 3rd and the 5th of March 2025. We're still having a lot of push and pull with some stakeholders in terms of, do we cut the number of days because we don't want you guys to stay longer, or should we just have it until you guys have a weekend? It's something we're still trying to actually, we have gone back to the drawing board to see the visibility and the practicality of the same. However, that being said, Obed, you asked if there's something we've missed out. It is offensive for us not to tell you that we are planning a very interesting conversation in relationship to the issue of the amendment of the Elections Act, and that is coming up this Friday on Mizani 254 on your week in brief. So for those of you who have been paying attention, we have some specific way we label our shows. So our Friday shows are called your week in brief. Our Sunday shows are called your Sunday schooling, or rather Sunday schooling. And the Monday shows, it's definitely what we call the Monday Night Live. And tonight we are discussing the Okiya Omtatah Koiti, the 006th possible presidency. And we have on set, of course, the team from Okiya Omtatah who are trying to explore the possibility of this senator from Busia becoming the next president. But on Friday, we'll be leaving you with some interesting conversation around the Elections Amendment Bill of 2024. And our speakers include Wanjira Maina, who is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. We have Danson Mukile, who is a diaspora affairs strategist and leader from the US. And we have, of course, our in-house economics analyst, Stella Swakey, to help us just try and weave all this together and make sense out of the discussion that is happening on the amendment of the Elections Amendment Bill of 2024. So stay tuned for that. But for now, I want us to go to the quick tail end of the speakers who are here. Mr. Kilimanjaro, you've been waiting for too long. Thank you for your patience. The mic is yours.
Thanks so much, Eli, Obeds, and also Mizani for this space. I'm going to try and be a bit fast. I know we are approaching the tail end of the space. Mine is to Kathami and also Kevin. And before I go there, I'm going to more or less request everyone who's supporting the cause to allow the campaign to, play politics. I think we should allow the team to craft a strategy that is going to definitely plug in
into the political arena of the country. This is not the time to try and reinvent a lot of things. This is the time to try and win. So that should be more or less the backbone of the team. Now to the team, I have 4 things that I would want to mention to you. The first one is that there are vote heads that I think you should consider looking at. First of all, there is the international influence, especially when it comes to a presidential, election. It is not just a local affair; it is an international affair, because if you look at our internal issues, some of them are actually currently being guided by external forces. So that is something that must be taken consider of. So when you're crafting the strategy, you have to ensure that you consider the external factors, the international community. That is actually one of the most serious vote heads that a presidential candidature must consider going for. There is the 48th county of the country, which is the diaspora. That is an opportunity to try and leverage, the international community and vote head. So that is an opportunity I would urge you to pursue. Make sure that you create linkages with these people. Let them, get the people they can, the linkages, the connections they can get you. That is something that will play very handy, come very handy into a winning candidature. Number 2, there is also the now when you come back home, we have to look at the defense, intelligence. So that is also a very serious vote head, the military, internal security and stuff like that. That is a serious vote head that a presidential candidature must try and have some leverage into. You have to consider is not an easy thing, and then looking at what Triple O's candidature is going against, definitely must consider having that in place. Number 3 is the candidature, the more or less the states, what they normally call the deep states. But right now, I know going there, that would, I think that is something that you have to try and look at how you can best get at least a quotient of some people in the administration. We definitely have seen people in the government who are actually anti the government. So that is something that Triple O's candidature must consider looking at also, for purposes of information, detail, and all that stuff. On the same, which more or less there is also a vote head that which most of the time has been negated by the 3 that I've mentioned, which is now the mass vote. And you've seen, giving for instance, and also looking at previous experiences, the mass vote is what Raila has had, but that has not made him the president. So in totality, I would suggest that the team looks at having all the 4 I've mentioned plus more to make sure that they have a complete, block of, to ensure and secure the win. Lastly but not least is that I would also urge you to craft a very good manifesto that is going to make sure, it talks to the people, it talks to the country, and it also talks to our neighbors, it talks to, our foreign partners. So have a manifesto that is going to make sure, it gives or demonstrates a Kenya that we want, a new Kenya that we want, So let the manifesto just speak out for you before you even go to talk to someone. Let it be very simple, but it can talk to, the person who's going to engage with it. Let it be very straightforward and forthright, and, something that is tenable, something that can be achieved. Let it not have a lot of, shenanigans that once Triple O goes into office, he cannot deliver. Let him have things that he will make sure that he delivers once in office. Last but not least is that I would also request you to consider using, this is something you can pick up, It was a tool used by, I think, called Trudeau from Canada, who was running for PM. It's called Blue Ocean, Red Ocean strategy. It can actually assist you. It has very good tools to try you to assist you map out a very good campaign, and also give O, the Blue Ocean view of wading through the political Kenyan scene. And wish you all the best. Looking forward to dropping in here and there to make sure that we just make our contributions whenever necessary and whenever possible, just to make sure that it goes through. Finally, also there is consideration which must be factored are the considerations of partnering, the partnerships moving forward, political partners, which I think Anthony mentioned about coalitions. That is also something that should be allowed, and like I said, let us allow O to, go into the political arena and just play politics. The ROE should not restrict him so much, and we should not try and give him guidelines that are going to, limit him engage with the political class in the country. We know how the political scene is, and he's wading into the political scene. So let us allow him to just go there, play politics, and make sure that he wins. Once he goes there now, there's going to be time for, the reviews, much needed reviews in the country. I land there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kilimanjaro. And I'm told that there are also some very patriotic Kenyans streaming this live on TikTok. Shout out to you. You can follow the conversation every single Friday, Mondays and Sundays right here on Mizani. On Friday and Mondays, we do that from 8:30 p.m. And if our guests want to come in later on, we stream from 9 p.m. On Sundays, we strictly start at 10:30 in the morning, Kenyan time, because we say it is the Sunday schooling. Obed, we're about to do what we shouldn't be doing, or what we should have done a few hours ago, and that is for us to ask the most difficult questions, which is, does he have any skeletons that we need to be aware of so that we can defend him? The real Joe, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Eli. A lot has been said about this candidacy, and a lot of people have made a lot of points. And I was just listening, and actually, I decided not to request the mic earlier, so that I would hear everyone's praise Okiya Omtatah, which is what I've heard. I also heard someone try to allude to the fact that there's a lot of history that has happened in terms of election in our country, which we should not ignore. But yeah, history is important because it has because of the history. It relies on evidence of the previous scenarios or happenings, but it doesn't really guarantee the future. So we should not, because the future is unpredictable. The future is ever changing. The future depends on culture, which is ever changing. So we should not be so much swayed by these things of history and things like that. Some people have used that to their advantage to be able to sway crowds and tell them, no, based on historical numbers, this is what has been happening, and people have been able to be swayed. But being steadfast to this is important. But having said that, Eli, I have heard someone also allude to the fact that data, how it can be used. I mean, we have all these ideas, and I would wish that we give this, it is just a seed that has been planted. I would wish we start just nurturing it just at a very basic level and just allow it to grow, come out, give it just the right conditions to enable it to grow. Let's not already start bombarding and putting like it's good to really think about the future, but I would really advise that we just give all the best conditions possible to allow this seed to just grow and come out nicely, and we'll be able to appreciate the fruits later on in the future. But what I would really urge, and this is not really to ask questions or something, what I would really urge from the general public, because I've heard everybody speak so well about Okiya Omtatah, I've not really heard anybody, just maybe two speakers, but I've not really heard anybody with something contrary to this, to Okiya Omtatah's candidacy. And therefore, I would really urge this to the general public, that you play your role, play your part. And this is a campaign that we are just starting also to back up this candidacy. And we want to start this campaign of I am voter number hash. So hash is basically the number, the I am voter number 1, maybe you are voter number 2 and things like that. So basically we are trying to urge people to go and get registered as voters. Very, very important. It is the first tool to be able to get this out there. But as well, I'm looking at the data that we've had from previous election of 2022, and we had 25 million voters registered. But we had combined the first 2 candidates, actually combine all the candidates, there are about 15 million votes. So 10 million unaccounted for votes. Out of these 10 million, there are 85% is young people. That will give you a roughly 8.5 million votes from young people who never voted, who never dared to go and cast and perform their democratic right duty. This is the young group of young people that I believe, and other Kenyans who have all along been undecided and have not found a good choice. And that speaks volumes. So if we can sell them a better choice, then we have 8.5 million in our bags. I'm not saying it is just out of the blues like that. It has to be worked on. Remember, these are people who decided to stay away from a democratic process. So we have to find a way of getting to these people. So I'm sure the team led by it is at an individual level that I would encourage all of us to put in their effort. So instead of we, I would wish that we go with I. So for example, I will play my part. That is what I would urge all of us. I will play my part. I will register as a voter. I will tell anybody else that who I meet about this candidate, and I will try to sell this candidate, and I, so that you take the responsibility, so that we can see for the first time in the history of our country, people push for someone that they want in terms of the top job. I don't see any problem with activists, and whoever tried to allude to that fact is just maybe confused or something. I don't see any problem with activists being the president, and maybe the only thing that is there, maybe it is humor. Maybe Okiya Omtatah forgets and goes and changes himself in maybe trying to activate I don't know. But there's no problem with that at all. We've had Nelson Mandela and any other person, Thomas Jefferson, and so many, you can name them, who have been presidents, by the way. So I don't see any problem with that. But yeah, I would leave it at that for now. Eli, a lot of positive feedback. So I don't think this is a good starting point. And it is good to build up from here for the team, Gadomi and all the team members. And I have seen something from the comment section from Redemptor. Pronunciation of the name is not Okiya, like Redemptor has said on the comment. Most people have maybe been pronouncing the name wrongly. It's not Okiya, it is Okiya Omtatah. So that's something that we also need to know moving forward. But let everybody play their role. If it is about the campaign, print your own shirt, maybe print for the second person a shirt and put on a shirt and go and campaign on your own and push this project as I. Thank you very much, Eli, and the rest of the team. Thank you.
All right. You can meet Joe every single Monday, Monday to Friday, on his spaces from 10 in the morning, I believe, so all the way to the middle of the midday, as he has a conversation. The hashtag is Morning Talk with Joe and Wanjiru. Let's go to the next speaker. We have Dennis. Dennis, kindly, I know we had cut you off. You may make your final remarks. I'll give you 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, I was saying that Kenyans have a great opportunity to restart their country. Okiya Omtatah is not just our presidential candidate, but he also brings us a political party, the National Reconstruction Alliance. This is ideally, we are forming an alliance of reconstructing Kenya, and we are only going to achieve this by draining the whole swamp. We can only start afresh with President Okiya Omtatah, with the fresh parliament, with the fresh devolved units, including the fresh assemblies at our county assemblies. So I want to encourage all of you, I want to encourage Kenyans that even if we have a presidential candidate and a political party on hand, let us work extra hard because we have a lot of work to do. Civic education is the only tool that is going to help us achieve this. And as you for your Christmas holidays, I want to encourage you, please talk to your relatives, talk to your friends in whatever language they understand. Tell them that the solution to this country is a fresh beginning. We are going to reconstruct this country with President Okiya Omtatah, and the party is the National Reconstruction Alliance. So thank you very much. And I wish that we continue with this conversation. Let us continue encouraging one another. Of course, I understand that there's going to be so much talk after this. And as you can see, already politicians are regrouping into their tribal cocoons. They want to put us in regions. They want to put us in tribes so that they divide and rule us. But this time round, we want to remind them that after the events of June 25th, this country is going through an awakening, and we are not the same voters who voted in 2022. We have a fresh block of voters in 2027, and those are the Gen Zote movement. We welcome the move by Okiya Omtatah to put himself up in the presidential race. We encourage Okiya Omtatah. We will support you. We will volunteer. We will fundraise. We will pray for you. This is unstoppable. Thank you very much and have a good night.
Unstoppable, says Dennis. You know, Obed, this is the most easiest conversation I've had because I don't have to think too much. Kenyans already have decided which way to go to. Very few of you, of course, are asking questions, but I would love that next time we have such a conversation, you guys really come out and ask those questions. Like, what is in the closet? What should we not think? I mean, should we think we have an angel serving us, or we have no angel and therefore we're just dealing with a human being? You know, what are the skeletons that we need to be aware of if we were deciding tonight that we are going to work with Senator from Busia, Okiya Omtatah? That is a question that must be answered. But then again, justice for all. You said Okiya Omtatah is not just a person. He is a movement. I have the submissions tonight qualified your worries. Justice for all.
It's okay. I've been laughing throughout, and it's an embodiment of what people and I like the people that have spoken prior to that, and it's perfectly okay. And I'm glad to listen to everybody, and then plan for the future, and then of course talk about Andrew Okiya Omtatah. By the way, the moment this came up, what I did was to text him. I texted him like, okay, are you running for real? The answer is like, I'm exploring. So there's a difference between I'm running and I'm exploring. So let's begin with that. So right now, I think there's a lot of excitement about people think that the Okiya Omtatah is running. No, we don't know if he's running or not. He has established a platform to explore whether is viable to run or not. So as we speak, we don't know if he's running or not. Is that fair enough? And then I'll make my second point that the argument which, the gentleman who spoke prior to me, it kind of sounded like, oh, yeah, Okiya is the guy to go with. We don't know. We don't even know if he's running or not. So once his team runs through whatever background and checks and everything, and then establish that should he run or not, at that point, 18 months later, we will know whether he's running or not. The answer, as we speak, we think he should run. We don't know if he wants to run. Okay. Okay. Is somebody trying to kick in? So my other point is that the Kenyan running for presidency issue is a little complicated. That we need to understand is about running and winning are two different things. You want to run. Mateng want to run. We honestly think Maraga needs to run. Another person, Kalonzo, needs to run. Running and winning is a conversation that we need to have in the days to come. So as much as we have the Okiya Omtatah, no, it's Andrew, Okiya, Omtatah. Of course, his first name is Andrew, which I don't know where he took Andrew from. But the sixth, I don't think is in that position of, he has not even declared that he wants to run as the sixth president. He has only set up a group to explore whether it's viable to run.
Can I?
We've already established that. So the question
Can I interject?
Okay.
Yeah, let me interject. What's the name of our speaker?
We are speaking to Justice for All.
Okay. Maybe he came a bit late in the space. There is something, of course, we had this discussion earlier. Maybe he was not there. He didn't hear these questions being answered. And I think he's giving information from a point of lack of proper briefing, if I may say so. He says that Okiya is not running, he's exploring. I think we dealt with that question very deeply. If people that were here earlier would understand, Okiya is running for presidency. No doubt, no question about that. What the exploratory committee is doing is enriching his candidacy with data, with information, with content on what exactly the Kenyan population wants. Please, let's just get this out of the way. Okiya is running as the sixth. That's not a question. But what our committee is doing, because this is not his call, this is a Kenyan call. We are a committee of a group of people. Our work is to put information together, collect data from Kenyans, collect information, talk to funders, talk to influencers, talk to every single Kenyan and understand what kind of ticket, what kind of candidacy the presidential ticket should look like. That's our work. So we are not a team that will sit and then one day sit and say, oh, okay, fine. We've collected this data and we feel like do not run. Please, let's just get this clear. Okiya is on the ticket and everything is being put to place. And as our committee is running with its work, there are so many other committees, there's so many other groups of people still working for Okiya that are going on with their work. So it's not, I think we had this discussion earlier. So I think what the speaker is saying is contradicting the information that we put out there before. So please do not, I like clearing issues because we stop the room for disinformation and misinformation, which I think with social media, there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation. So if there's any question regarding his ticket, his candidacy, our appointed spokesperson is actually Kevin, who is on this space on his handle as Patriotic. That is the handle he's using. For official communication, you get it from the committee. So do not purport to speak for Okiya out here, even though you're his friend or anything. Do not purport to bring in information which is not coming from our committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathomi, and I take back everything I had said. And then Eli, I will say this. Let's work together for the Kenyan movement to ensure. Kathomi, I apologize. I came in a little bit late, and then that probably means what you're out there. And it's probably a thing that for you need to clarify to other people like me, ignorant person. So our ignorant people, myself and other people included, you need to clarify to them that maybe there's a clarity on where you stand and clarity that he's running. It's not an exploration committee, so that it's clear that whatever was set out is to explore if he should run or not in 18 months later. So please, can you I'm talking about under in the Mizani movement, put it out there to other people to clear that we need to know that yes, is running for sure. So anyway, let me find out in my 30 seconds that I have remaining that we have a country that we need to work on an embodiment of what Okiya Omtatah stands for and other people, so that we are not talking about ourselves, but we're talking about who then do we stand, what then do we stand for as a country, and then how do we run together with. Thank you for so much, Eli and Obed and everybody. I'll wait for whatever our friend Kathomi has shared to be clear that is Okiya running, or has he set up a committee?
It's already cleared out. Justice for all, that was settled. It has been established that he is running once that window opens up. So that is why we are having this talk. We had to establish that before we began. But thank you for raising it. And I think, Kathomi, the challenge that Justice for All is putting across is the fact that a lot of people are still lost in between the translation and understanding of what the committee is doing. And probably over time, with your communication team and PR team, you'll be able to put out exactly what is happening. And it would have been very great to have the senator from Busia to come here and speak to us. But we also thank you for giving all the energy and time to really come and tell us more about his ambitions and his plans for this country. We know we have a lot that still needs to be covered, but we remain open for future engagements, even as we try to have conversations that will shape the next election. As we have always said here on Mizani 254, every opinion counts. Keep it respectful. Every opinion counts. I will now invite Obets to clear out the queue, and then we can now call it a night. It's already 11 past midnight in Nairobi, Kenya, and you guys are planning to go and have breakfast. So let's see how that rolls out. Obeds.
Not much, actually, because I think we're really out of time. The best thing would be have Kathomi give us a final position, or final remarks or concluding remarks. Then we bring the house down because we are past time. It's way too long.
Mizani, again, thank you. Now that you've been so gracious to hold a space on behalf of Okiya, we want to say thank you, and we will use this space to come back and communicate the strategies that we are putting down. I'll definitely be in conversation with you, and we'll still use this space to bring Okiya to hold a space for himself. We'll hold a space for him, and he will come and he will talk. But before then, we will still come and give the structures that we are laying, more so for volunteers on every single level. we'll still come back here, because I think now this is sort of a family. This is sort of, I would say you volunteered your expertise, your time, and your everything. So we'll still come back, and we are going to do a lot of follow-ups. We are going to be having a press briefing in this week. And I think a lot of these questions that are not very clear to many people will be answered in the press briefing. And I think things are going to continue getting clearer as we go by. And thank you so much for your time. I think even staying way long and listening to these conversations. Thank you so much. I would wish each one of us a lovely night, and definitely we are going to be having another of these conversations soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kavomi. We're still curious. I'm so glad that we have a saint for a presidential candidate. That'll be interesting. People, I hope no one has a skeleton to bring later. But thank you very much for taking time to be here. And it takes a lot. You've been in meetings throughout, and we really appreciate that you've taken your time to be here. I don't want to bore anyone, Eli. I guess we've done the best we can. And remember, this is not a paid advert. And Kagomi, we are happy to have a platform for Kenyans to come and have a conversation on a presidential candidate, whomever. And, we are very open to the fact that we allow us to have conversations as long as they remain within confines of respect and no insults and nothing. And on fact, we are happy. So for me, and from where I sit, Eli, this country has an opportunity to engage itself on a new gear and start afresh. I do not think that Kenya has a shortage of good leadership. And the problem has been that we've allowed the worst within ourselves to for a very long time. And whilst that's the position, I see Kelvin come up here. Kelvin, I give you an opportunity to make your remarks, then we can close the space.
So I also want to say thank you so much. I think it has been a very interesting and engaging conversation. And I think, Mizani, you're doing a good job. And I think talking to most of the people from Japonji, Dennis, Anthony, the real Joe, we've come to see that there's a lot to be done, which we were aware of. And I think apart from engaging the diaspora, from collecting data, trying to see what messaging will give, expect a lot from our end. And we'll be more engaging, and we'll make sure that by the end of this, everyone will have a candidate and a presidency that will reflect what us want and aspirations of the nation. Thank you so much, and keep it up, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Mizani 254 has been a platform that we're trying to also make our contribution in ensuring that we have an accountable leadership, a responsible leadership that is geared towards ensuring that the public is taken care of in the way that it should be. And we're grateful that we had this opportunity. For those who could not be able to speak, we do apologize. There are so many people. We only have a maximum of 10 to allow and a speaker at a time. So, but thank you so much for having time for us. And we promise to engage and keep doing what we do. We make our contributions also by making writing memoranda to Parliament when there's policy, issues that are coming up, like the amendment bill that we've heard about, the election amendment bill, that we're going to have a look at it and see what we contribute. We do a report on this, as always, for the record. You can always go back to the space and listen to them, but we can not overemphasize the fact that you've been wonderful to us and keep supporting. And this is an opportunity that we change our country. Everyone has a responsibility. Us as Mizani, we will give a platform for people to make their conversations. There are those who will go to the street. There are those who will make other things. As it is, everybody hands on deck so that we change this country. And we're not doing this for fame. We're doing this because we love our country. Eli, tell them you have a day job. I have a day job and have to moonlight as an activist and somebody interested in supporting and changing Kenya, as I'm sure most of the Kenyans are. So let's do this for our own good and for posterity, and ensure that we leave our children and our children's children a very good country and an inheritance that they'll be proud as parents that we did a good job of it. Eli, back to you, and thank you very much, and good night to everyone.
Thank you, Obeds. In fact, all the guests have been wonderful. So have you been as listeners. We couldn't have made this conversation worth it minus your contribution. We don't take it for granted. We have seen a lot of chats coming in the chat section. We promise to go through them and respond to those ones we can respond, and to those which we cannot respond, we equally just say thank you for your opinion. It matters to all of us. Having said that, we want to also encourage you to follow up on these conversations. Don't make this the end of it. If you can be able to create a conversation on the side and invite us, we'll be more than happy to come through and have these conversations moving to the next level. Redemptor, I am afraid we can't admit you at the moment, but you told us you were wishing to contribute tonight. In fact, the connection has been very unstable. And for those of you who had glitches joining the call, we do want to apologize. It is nothing of our making. Having said that, Redemptor hosts shows every single Wednesday, the Smart Enough Show from 8 p.m. in the night. So be sure to join. And again, as I said, our very good friend and co-host here also, that is Mr. Real Joe, hosts other spaces Monday to Friday from 10 a.m. in the morning. So be sure to join in on the morning talk with Joe and Wanjiro. Having said that, I want to say it has been real. We know our good senator from Busia loves his rosary and prays a lot. Unfortunately, we can't say the Hail Mary tonight. All we can do is wish all of you the best of the night and leave you with a song from Guardian Angel, Yesu sio mwizi. And good night.
Ananibeba, bembeleza, yeye ni rafiki wa dhati. Akiahidi lazima tatenda. Yesu ni mfalme wa amani, kuwa karibu naye natamani. Yesu sio mwizi lakini ameuiba moyo wangu. Yesu si polisi anifunge. Ananibeba, bembeleza, yeye ni rafiki wa dhati. Akiahidi lazima tatenda. Yesu ni mfalme wa amani, kuwa karibu naye natamani. Yesu ni rafiki, nimemuona dhabiti. Yesu rafiki, ahadi zake kweli. Yesu ni rafiki, nimemuona dhabiti. Yesu rafiki, ahadi zake kweli. Okusubira mu mwami, obulayi mu moyo kwanje obulondama.